Hello and welcome to episode 229 of Checkpoint Chat. My name is Alessandro Barbosa. I'm joined by Matthew Figuera.
Hello.
You're just nodding.
Of course, I always
just like,
nod.
yes.
Like, yes,
Yes.
I know who you are. I know.
What he
tell me
says
your
is
stories.
correct. He is
Tell me your
he
stories.
is saying
It's
the
all good.
truth.
He really does speak the truth.
Oh no, I cannot see your screen anymore. This has
Oh,
gone
God.
off to a great start.
There we
Okay,
go.
now I can. Okay, it's good.
I clicked
All
off.
back. Crisis averted.
That is hilarious. So for context, for those who maybe missed last week, hello, we're back. I'm currently using Lenska's laptop to record from until I finally build my PC, which I have all the parts now. I can do that.
Should
Hooray.
be this week. Exciting stuff.
Hopefully this time next week I'm all set up. If I haven't royally destroyed or done anything horrifically wrong.
You're just missing a single cable now, aren't you?
Yeah, and it seems that will arrive because we discussed I can actually get a cable that will arrive in a day, not 15 to 30 days, which
that would have sucked.
Greatly upset me when I was like, oh man, I can't just buy any old cable off Amazon. Damn, I didn't think about this.
I genuinely didn't know that the power supply manufacturers made their own 12-volt cables, so that's cool.
I found that by complete fluke. I can't even tell you how I found it. I was busy searching and I was like, oh, this is a Corsair cable. I think this is the right one. That's why I go to you, my tech advisor, on tap. I'm like, will this work? Because I have no idea.
Was the right series cable? It looks like, if it blows up your PC, I'm not responsible, but then, it looked good to me.
But then I even read the description. It's like, will work on all Type 4 Corsair power supplies. I don't know what type mine is. I looked at it, I was like, it's a Type 4, and I looked it up.
It's a Type 4,
But what I was getting at is that there's a lot going. I'm still trying to get used to the new dimensions of my setup. So if I look up, I'm very sorry. But also, I'm trying to save resources because I see the video jumps every now and then. So I disabled the preview because I know that would really help. And
is the laptop just like struggling a little bit under the pressure?
No, well, I think every now and then you can see the video just jumps just a little bit. So I disabled the preview and you're like, oh no, it's like, oh, okay, I can't do that. I've got to keep that on. So apologies, that was my bad.
No, it's all. You're going to have your PC this week for all intents and purposes. So,
oh my God, I hope so.
I'm really excited for the whole build process because this is the first time you're building an ITX machine. So
this is the first time I'm building a PC.
Which is fun. You went to hard mode straight away.
I was saying to John Michael, I've given myself the Dark Souls of PC builds.
Quite literally. Thankfully, you've got one of the easier ITX cases to build in. So,
I've since looked up.
Yeah.
Some and I'm like, oh my God, I've actually got space to work with. I've seen some and I'm like, how do you even?
Yeah, there are some that are just obscenely difficult, like some that even require you to purchase like custom cables of a custom length because otherwise your cable management is just not going to work. It's a mission. So yours is going to be good. I think you've just got to focus on getting the fan orientation correct.
I hope those fans are marked because I have visions of putting it on like, oh wow, it boots it, and then it's like, oh no.
Yeah, you're like sucking air out the bottom and the top. There's just a vacuum where your GPU is meant to get like air, and it's just like,
what would happen in an instance like that if you're pushing air out both sides? Is it just like a negative space? What happens? Not heat wise, like just literally what happens. Like,
well, what happens? Firstly, you've developed what's called negative pressure. So the first thing that starts happening is because you're creating a vacuum in the middle of the case, that vacuum needs to be filled by something. So it draws air in from every other crevice where you aren't expelling air. So the front and the back of your case in this instance, and any little little crevice where your side panels aren't completely flush with the case. That also means you're bringing in tons of dust into the case.
Yeah.
And if that negative pressure is not enough to satiate obviously the thermal demands of your GPU, which it definitely will not, that thing will just overheat very quickly.
It just explodes. Okay.
Yeah. So you always want to have what they call positive pressure. That's debated, but I think it's good. So you always want to have more intake than exhaust. So your intake fans should always be either one fan more than your exhaust or running at a slightly higher RPM than your exhaust. So you create positive pressure. So that means that you are constantly expelling air out of any of the crevices. So it keeps dust out. Aside from obviously the air being drawn in through your fans, but then you'll have like a fan mesh to kind of hopefully keep dust at bay. But yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's your air fluid dynamics 101.
Sure. Yeah, well, my thing is on this build, my case did come with 2 fans, which, like you've said, so it's funny because it's a small case. I'm not going to have a front to back. I'm going to have a bottom to top.
Yeah, it's going to be
so there's 2 fans. Going to put those in the bottom, and then you've said I should mount the CPU cooler on the top, and I'm like, I don't know. In terms of, I've seen builds where people have it like up on the what would be the glass or the panel.
Oh, like the front. Yeah. That's
no, like the side. Like there's a little bracket you can put it on for the CPU.
There's
inside.
Very few cases that allow for that.
So this does have a bracket to do that.
Really? Okay, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think.
I wouldn't
so
do
I'm
that.
I haven't seen anyone do it on the top as you've recommended. So I'm like, shit.
No. Most people. I mean, in most cases, most people put it on the top, and it definitely will fit on the top of yours. It should. But I think it will work super nicely because then you've got like fresh air coming straight from the bottom, whacking that into your GPU. And then because you've got a Founders GPU, that fan on the left-hand or the right-hand side is just chucking air upwards as well. And that will be thrown straight into the fans of your AIO, and it's just going to be exhausted immediately. So you have a nice like flow through of air that should work.
How do you know those fans are blowing out and not in on the GPU?
What do you mean? On the GPU? No, I know the GPU works in a specific way. The one on the right throws air upwards, and the one on the left throws air like out the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how these ones are designed. So all you got to do is make sure you set up your fan orientation. Here's a pro tip: the side with the sticker, or like what you deem as the front of the fan, that's where air is going to come in. So you want to put the sticker side or the front of the fan facing down on the bottom. Yeah. And on the top, you want it facing down to the case as well. You
talking to a man who's put in, let's say, 75 hours of Tears of the Kingdom and who still gets fan orientation wrong.
Oh my God. What do you mean? Those fans was very easy to orientate there. Oh my God.
You know how many times this happened? I put it on, I'm like, I just wasn't paying attention.
I'm so stressed now. Now I'm stressed. Oh my God.
No, that's more me not paying enough attention, like build my thing and then I put it on and it's blowing the wrong way. And I'm like, oh man, why did I do this?
If you really have to, there are little arrows on the fan themselves that shows the flow of air.
Instructions unclear, blew up my house.
Jesus. Just don't. I mean, what did we say? You won't Darren this up. It's good. Yeah.
Won't Darren this up. I've thought it through. I'm like, I should be fine. I think the most stressful part for me ultimately is just mounting that CPU. The cooler and putting it on the motherboard.
That is a bit tricky. AIOs are just a pain.
Can't wait to do that. And then just plugging in everything to my motherboard. I'm like, I just hope I have everything plugged in the right way and everything correctly.
Yeah, it should be fine. Up. I mean, with an AI, with your water cooler, you've just got to make sure that you plug in the CPU, the fans into the CPU header and the pump into the pump header and all those things. They're all marked. It's okay. They're labeled. It's okay. You're good. You'll be fine.
We were talking on Discord yesterday, and then I had a thought. I'm like, I know maybe it's like an old wives' tale of like, oh yeah, like static electricity. I'm like, no, like it makes sense. You got to grind yourself, whatever. And then everyone's like, no, you'll be fine. Blah blah. But just use a grinding mat. I'm like, What is a grounding mat?
It's a grounding
I don't have that.
Listen, I always used to be scared of that, and most people still are. Like, most people still say, listen, there's nothing wrong with like preventing static electric charge. Like, they wear these bands around their hand that is connected to like a grounding point. But there's a great video that Linus did with an electrical engineer, and they pumped tons of static electricity through Linus himself while he was touching stuff on a motherboard. And they were able to wreck things, but it was at a degree that was like extremely high. Like, so it's possible, but the odds of you frying something quite low. But that said, just like,
I know,
ground yourself. Just touch your fucking case or touch like the floor or something. Like, touch grass.
Garden, touch grass. My God.
I hate us.
I hate us for this. Like, where am I even going to go touch grass? Or walk downstairs, walk to the park, touch some grass.
Every time you need to ground yourself, take a 500-meter walk and then hope you don't build any static on the way back.
On the way back.
Just fly. Just, no friction at all.
Good Lord. I'll be fine.
I mean, you have wooden floors in your apartment, correct?
We do, yeah.
Okay, so just build that while you're on there. And be barefoot or something, then you're good.
I'll be barefoot. Cool.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I think I'll be fine. It's just funny.
Do you know who else is barefoot?
Frodo.
Link.
Of course. Was my second answer.
Well, actually, my Link is not barefoot, but yours could be barefoot. I don't know. I don't want to tell you how to live your Link life.
What are you doing with your Link that he's barefoot? My goodness.
Let's check my chat. We're talking about video games, and this week there's still no real big developments video game wise, like in terms of releases. So now that I've put the adventures of Clive Rosfield behind me,
I haven't. I'm still knee deep in that.
I want to hear.
We'll talk about that. I think when I'm finished, we can do a nice little spoiler discussion.
No. I want to hear an update, like, because you've reached points.
Oh my God. Okay, let me just make a note here. Well, do you talk about Zelda first, and we'll get there.
Yeah. So I'm back into Zelda. You might recall. I don't even know if I actually mentioned it in the podcast or if it was just like where we were chatting, over time. But like, I've struggled in a way to get into Tears of the Kingdom. In a way that it wasn't there with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild felt very fresh. But I think Breath of the Wild also had the benefit of like, A, it's the first time they've done this sort of Zelda. B, brand new console. So it's like, I really want to play with this shiny new console. So, so Tears of the Kingdom, I've been struggling.
The novelty of having it on the go. Sorry, just having the Switch on the go was like, whoa, I can play this anywhere I want. Like, amazing.
Exactly. And just like having this experience running like while I'm in bed or something like that. So, Tears of the Kingdom maybe less exciting in that sense, but still, I think turning out to be a good game. Who would have guessed? And now that I'm putting more and more time into it and maybe like following quest lines a bit more rather than like getting distracted with like every little thing, I finally did my first temple and I really liked it. It which is funny because it uses the one of the most irritating tropes in video games, I think, and that's the idea of like a level built around like static routes, in this case like mine carts that move around different pieces of the level. Zelda has done this many times in its like dungeon design, and I don't particularly like them, but this one was kind of cool because of the way that obviously Tears of the Kingdom allows you to really break things and invent solutions that aren't necessarily the linear one that's presented to you. So I think it's really cool that they were able to design a dungeon in a way that was meant to be completed in a linear fashion, in a specific fashion. And you can tell that by like when you return to certain parts of the dungeon, certain items have like respawned. So they clearly wanted to be like, we don't want you to put yourself in like a fail state where you cannot like actually progress here. And we are giving you the tools to move around this place in a particular way. But if you want to attach 2 rockets to a fucking minecart and launch yourself vertical and then glide to, and you can do that too. So it was just it was cool. It was cool to see finally, because I think Breath of the Wild didn't have this. Breath of the Wild's biggest criticism was its dungeons or its divine beasts weren't like dungeons of old in Zelda. And this has finally like married the idea of like an Ocarina of Time dungeon with the flexibility of where Zelda is now.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really cool. And I'm kind of excited to see where the temples go from here, because I know there's numerous ones. And it's just kind of reinvigorated my desire to keep playing this game consistently. I know the time between now and getting to the next temple is probably going to be numerous hours, because I'm going to be like running around the world and figuring things out. But I'm going to try do temples at a more steady pace rather than, like you said, like 40, 50 hours between them. I think I'll burn out on this formula very quickly. So yeah, it was cool. This was the fire dungeon. I'm trying not to give much away, as you know, because I think people are still playing this at their own pace and reaching things in different orders and stuff like that. But I always knew there were temples, and it's funny that I got to the fire one first, because I definitely think I was not meant to be in this area now, because things were just wrecking me, like one-shotting me consistently. It kind of made that frustrating, and I probably should have just left and come back, but I like persevered stubbornly and I finished it. And
it's the Dark Souls of Zelda games. You've just
I feel like I'm so bad at this combat now. Like I cannot read attacks and do flurries like I used to. I'm fucking it up consistently. So yeah.
It is. What's interesting to me is that so in Breath of the Wild, they very clearly wanted you to go to, what are the fish people called, the Zora domain. And to their credit, I think like 90% of players do go that way, because it like very subtly like prods you. Whereas in Tears of the Kingdom, I feel that you go to like that one village when you're off the Great Plateau of this game. I can't remember what it's called. And then from there, it's like
settlement village. Yeah.
And then it's from there, it's like, okay, you can go anywhere, and it doesn't really push you in any direction.
They kind of suggest going to I think it's the east or the northeast to the Rito.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going. But then at some point I wasn't looking at my map. And then I opened it again. I was like, whoops, I am not close to that dot anymore, but I am close to that dot, so I'll go there, you know.
Yeah.
So the Goron village wasn't that far away. So
so I did the Rito first, but then I did go to the fire village after. I'm glad you're getting into the game. I think it's a lot bigger. Like we know this. But I've kind of made peace with the fact that I'm not trying to, not like Final Fantasy 16 for comparison purposes. Like I'm sinking my teeth into this because A, I know it's still long, but it's a shorter experience overall. But B, like I'm very interested to see where the story goes. So like I'm consuming that game as fast as I can. Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, I've kind of made peace with, you know what, I know it's a big game. I'm just going to chip away at it slowly. I mean, and it came out in what, May? Was it May?
Yeah,
it was like May.
Middle of May, yeah.
We're in August already. And I've put in a lot of time, like 75 hours, but it's still, I've only done 2 of the dungeons. I've maybe uncovered 50 to 60% of the map. And it's been really nice just slowly chipping away. Every time I boot it up, I'm like, cool, I need to go do this, or I want to go tick that off. And I think what always amazes me with this game, and I mean, it's the same can be said for Breath of the Wild. I just think Tears of the Kingdom does this on a bigger scale because it's just a bigger map in general, because of the Sky Islands and you know what else.
I keep forgetting about those, and every now and then I see them in the sky. I'm like, right, but there's still so much.
Yeah, but it never fails to amaze me how I'll set out in an evening. I'll go, okay, I want to go tick off that shrine. And then I make my way there, and then I end up going like, there's a person there. I end up talking to them, get a side quest. I end up like in a completely different place. And I just think this game, what the word I've sort of associated with it now is like I'm going to struggle to say it now. It lets you be spontaneous. Spontaneity.
Spontaneous.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, but that's it. It's just, it lets you never know where you're going to end up or what you're going to do. Like if you let the game if you just let it steer you wherever it's taking you. And I love that. Like I actually kind of wish I had kept a journal or something of how things played out for me on different evenings, because it's never a simple thing of like, I did a shrine or whatever, or I went and I helped this village. It's always a thing of, no, I went out to the shrine and then I ended up in the depths, and then I found like a hidden thing in the depths, and then I got a cool piece of armor. Then I was back on the surface. Like, it's never a simple thing, and I just love that. It's like it lets you have your own moments that you might never have, or lets people play out the game in a completely different order, and it's never wrong. Like, there's so many ways to play, and it's always like, I've laughed because some of the shrines, I'm like, I don't think I was meant to do it that way. I've like completely just shortcuts it through, but that's fine. It's completely fine.
It's your solution. The thing is, it's like, it's there for you to complete in that manner. Yeah, it is cool, and that's where I agree with you. That's where the magic comes from, is in being able to like chip away at this game and still get like little moments of wonder every time you kind of like log in. And I was getting that, but I think maybe the game requires some sort of upfront investment for you to get comfortable with that. Because I think if you start playing the game in that manner from the get-go, you just get frustrated with the friction of like learning while trying to have these like spontaneous events happen. And I think now I've like overcome this hurdle where it's like, I understand how to play this game now, and I understand I've settled into like how I'm doing most of my crafting. I'm still looking at things being like, I could probably use these in a different way, but I'm going with like the path of least resistance because I'm not huge into like the constructing elaborate little things. I like putting one or two things on something, letting it do a thing, and I'm like, cool, that I'm happy, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same.
So yeah, what's funny is that the way you spoke about Zelda or Tears of the Kingdom is very, very similar to how I've heard people now talk about Baldur's Gate. So I was listening to this week's episode of the Giant Bombcast, and on there, Timur Hussain from GameSpot was on the show talking about Baldur's Gate, and they were like having a good conversation about how, you know, some people are overwhelmed by the amount of choice that the game offers you and the complexity of that.
Yeah.
And also just the time investment. There is this idea that the Baldur's Gate requires like your attention all the time and for months. And Timur made a very good comment where he's like, no, not really. It's like very much like a D&D campaign where you can put in as much or as little as you want. So he says he's having a great time logging on for like half an hour, 45 minutes on a Steam Deck and playing like one battle and having something ridiculous happen in that battle because he tried something or the game allowed for some ridiculous interaction to happen, and being like, that in itself is a story, and that in itself can sustain you for that evening. And then the next time you play is like maybe, then you see the consequences of that action. You know, it's like it's a running campaign that can keep going like that for months. Yeah. So it's cool. It's like Baldur's Gate and Tears of the Kingdom in giving players so much freedom to create these dynamic instances and stories for players actually extends its life, because those are the sustaining part of the game. You don't have to hit big story beats to like feel like you're accomplishing something. Every little piece is an accomplishment. Look, so it's cool.
I might feel differently when I've got something else to play on my Switch. I mean, I know there's like a new Mario around the corner.
Ooh, like, yeah, Mario Wonder.
I've got like Tears of the Kingdom is my Switch game for this year. It's been out for a few months, and it is every time like I get on the bus now or we take a train ride, I take my Switch with and I play 30 to 60 minutes of Zelda and I have a great time. And it's not this thing of like, at no point am I going like, oh man, like I need to start ticking off things so I can get to credit. It's like I've just sort of flipped my expectations and my like how I'm navigating, and I'm like, I don't have to, like I'm just enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me, like just because there is often, I think, especially with people like you and me and other people review games, where games come in and there's like this mad thing of like, oh my God, there's 5 games.
I need to complete this. Yeah.
I need to like complete this. I can move on to the next one. I mean, and granted, we're in a quiet period now where there's no big releases, so there's nothing else really pulling me away. But I don't know. It's been a nice thing to just sink time into over the last few months.
It is
really
kind of
enjoyed
the flip side of this being involved in this industry in the capacity that we are, and like so many other writers are, in that your trade is talking about the most recent games, and that means you have to keep up with those games. But that means as games get larger and larger, you are sacrificing time with other ones you might be wanting. So that's just part and parcel. Like I'd never ever want to complain about that, because that is a very stupid problem to complain about. Like you get to play so many games that you can't play the ones you want. Like, okay, that's nice.
I know, I've said
but it is just
well.
a reality. Like it is like there are many times where it's like, hey, here's a game that for review. That means I can't play the game I actually wanted to play this weekend, and that's a bit of a bummer. But like at the end of the day, it's fine.
I know. Yeah, I've had that with Lenska, where the last week or two I've said, man, I've got to like finish Final Fantasy 16, because I know there are things coming out. Like we've got Armored Core, for example, right around the corner.
Yes,
like, man,
right around the corner.
I really want to play that. So I'm like, I have to put time into this game. I'm like, what a problem to have. Like, I've got to finish this game because I've got more games coming. Like, oh no.
Exactly.
Like,
Jeez.
Woe is
First
me.
world problems, yeah. I've got to finish this game I got for free because another free game might be coming in soon. Goddamn.
Yeah. Life is hard.
Life is so tough. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, so that's just my sort of like quick update on Zelda. I mean, if I'm not playing anything week to week because nothing's coming out, I'm just going to keep talking about Zelda. So,
I mean, I'm
sorry.
there. We can just start swapping notes on what did you do in Zelda this week?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like what we did with Elden Ring. Well, for me last year anyway.
Kind of, yeah.
I spoke about that so much because it was just such a long game that I played over like 2 months or something.
Sure, I played it over 8 months. Yeah. So yeah, I know the feel.
My goodness.
But I want to hear now. You've made significant progress in Final Fantasy 16, and
yes, I think
enjoying seeing all the screenshots of the milestones you hit. So how's it going?
Man, this game. So yeah, well, I think when I do roll credits, we can have a proper little spoiler discussion. So I will keep things not vague, but I'm going to try and not spoil anything huge. But I will say, if you want to go into Final Fantasy 16 fresh, you're holding out, maybe don't listen. I don't know, just skip forward like 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, I'm now about 33 hours in. According to you and Jeff, you say I'm 2/3 of the way through the story, but my PlayStation says I'm 75% through the main quest.
Yeah,
which I guess means that there's only 25% of story left, but there's a lot of side quests, which I'm
there is very little actual story left, but the side quests get bonkers
wild.
Now.
Yeah, so I'm all in for the side quests, but man, I'm absolutely loving this game. I think just to add on what we spoke about last week, it just feels very grand, very theatrical. Like I think I said in the Discord, I feel like I'm an audience member in a classic Shakespeare play with some of the scenes that are happening. I'm like, oh, I can't believe that happened. Like it's so Shakespearean where X character does this to Y character and it shouldn't have been them, it should have been someone else, whatever. And it's just the drama in this game is just huge. Which that's not a bad thing at all. Like I'm all in for it. And then just the scale of anime nonsense that I'm being subjected to. Man, like I know some people who play this game and roll their eyes going, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I'm not that person. I'm watching it going, yes, this is perfect. Please keep just expanding this nonsense as much as you want and can. Like I'm all here for it, and I'm really enjoying it.
It's so good. Yeah,
I'm having an absolute blast. Like the scale. I mean, no spoilers, but I think another thought I had is that it reminds me. Some of these parts remind me so much of God of Wars from yesteryear. Just in terms of the scale. Like I remember first seeing God of War 3 and going, holy, like Kratos is in the back of Gaia climbing up to Mount Olympus, and just the scale of like the camera pulls back and it just looks huge. It's like, oh my God, like, whoa. There've been 1 or 2 moments in this game where it's just the scale is humongous. I'm like, oh my God, like that's really cool. Like I haven't seen something like this, me personally, for like a long time, and I really, I'm there for it. So yeah, having an absolute blast with my main man Clive, who I think he's a great Final Fantasy protagonist. I really like.
I agree. I think
he's
stupid name aside. Like I think he's like he's the embodiment of a noble, loyal like hero, and just a really good protagonist without coming off as like saccharine or dopey. You know what I mean? He's still got like a side to him which is a bit like hectic. He has no real time for people who are clearly bad people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not there to dish out mercy, but he's totally there for all of his companions in a very strong way, and it's cool. Yeah, I dig him quite a bit.
I think also, like, just on that, there's the side of him where, I mean, I think a lot of people always, when you think Final Fantasy, you think, oh, Cloud or Squall, and it's like, though, like, I love
no one
them
thinks
both,
about
don't get me
Squall.
wrong.
Fuck that game.
Darren's coming to your house right now, but you think like, man, Cloud, like, he's a bit bland initially, and he's like a very cold, and you know, by the end of the game he comes around. But there's this long process where I feel that Clive, from the get-go, very likable. I mean, obviously has problems, but like very human, very relatable in a lot of ways. And I've just really enjoyed watching his arc. And I'm obviously not done, but I'm far enough to know that, like, yeah, this dude's grown. He's a good guy, and I'm all in to see where the story goes. I have no idea where the story's going. Like, I mean, I know it's going to culminate in one or some other big battle with someone or whatever, but like, I don't know. Like, this game surprises me in so many ways.
The story goes places. I think you've sort of, like, knowing where you are, you sort of rounded out the very Game of Thrones-esque arc of the game. Now it gets Final Fantasy, like in the whole like end of the world sort of scenario. Which, like, I know has been divisive for some people. I don't think it's that much of a tone shift or that much of a narrative shift at all, really. It feels like something that was being built up to through the entire game. And I still enjoyed it. I do think, though, that the like arch nemesis of Clive in this game, the little weird 4-armed alien dude, or that's how I like to refer to him. He's not as compelling as an antagonist for the cast of protagonists here. That is like the chief criticism I have. But other than that, I think everyone else, like all of the other dominants that you've been pitted up against, are all like very multi-layered and interesting people. So yeah, it's you've probably come off two of the best like boss fights in the game, like hands down. And there's still some incredible ones coming up, but the sort of like, because they're so like close to one another, there's very little gap between the two. Like, they just feel very complementary of one another in a very cool way. So no, you've still got a ways to go, and you've got some cool fights ahead of you, especially if you're doing the monster hunts. There's some really, really cool ones coming up.
Oh, I love the hunts in this game.
And the last little batch of powers you will eventually get are chef's kiss. They are so good.
Oh, I came across what are those trials called?
Oh, the
whatever they're called.
I can't remember. Chronicle trials, I think.
It's not Chronicle, but it's similar. It's like Chronicle something.
I love that.
I came across one yesterday. I tried it. I didn't like commit to it. Are they worth doing? Like, are there rewards? Because you maybe mustn't tell me. I don't know. Because like, I know, for example, your Phoenix skill tree, you get other abilities given to you, but I haven't had any given to me in any of the other skill trees. I'm like, do I have to do these trials to get them?
Wait, what do you mean?
We'll talk after the podcast. I'll explain what I mean.
I'll say this much: I didn't do any of them.
Okay.
because I only found it very late in the game. I actually forgot they existed because I remember you found one like early in the game and it's like, can't use this yet. And I was like, okay, totally forgot about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I know Darren's doing them for trophy purposes. That's about all I can add to that conversation.
No, they seem fun. I'm just like, is the effort worth the reward? Because I'm not trying to get the platinum here. But I mean, I'm keen to try some trials.
I never the only things I really chased, and that's part of why I did all the side quests, was just some of the best gear in the game. So best, your best sword and braces and belt, that all comes from side quests. So, or you can't actually get the necessary recipes and resources without doing side quests. So
yeah.
Okay,
cool. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that again when I have rolled credits, which at this pace might not be too far away.
Yeah, at the pace you're going, I'd say, who knows, maybe another week.
Oh no, I've only had this much time put in because I had a day off and a public holiday. So
okay, never mind.
Yeah, don't hold your breath, man. The video is very delayed today for some reason. I don't know.
It's this the distance between you and I in landmass. Even Discord is struggling with its low,
it's like, what's
its
going
low
on?
latency algorithm is still struggling. Yeah.
Yeah. So apologies for that. It is a temporary thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Cool. So I think that's all we pretty much have played this week. I think.
I mean, I played. I won't really talk about it, but I did play Assassin's Creed Jade. Long story short, so there was a closed beta we got access to, but I had issues getting it. So it's for those who don't know, Assassin's Creed Jade is a mobile Assassin's Creed. No release date yet, but we got invited to a closed beta to try it out. I had issues accessing that beta to the point where I had to join a Discord and chat to somebody, and over a period of days, I finally got access. Played the tutorial one morning, and then the next morning when I wanted to play more, the beta had ended. So
lame.
Sorry. I will say it's a mobile Assassin's Creed, runs very well on my iPhone 13. It's touch controls, and yeah, I mean, I wish I could have played more, but I can't really expand on that, unfortunately, just due to technical difficulties.
It's set in China, isn't it?
It's set in China, yeah. So even in terms of story, I'm like, I didn't get much. So the beta sort of just plonks you in somewhere and you do some stuff. But yeah, I didn't get to do too much, unfortunately. So hopefully there's another round at some point, and I don't have as many issues getting access to it or getting into the game itself. Because the idea, I mean, look, I'm not the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, but as somebody who's now sits on public transportation regularly, I'm not opposed to a mobile version of that. Like that could be quite fun. At the moment, I'm still just playing, if I'm not playing Tears of the Kingdom, I'm playing Marvel Snap, which is just the mobile game that keeps on giving. But yeah, that's all I've been playing, really. Not too much, unfortunately.
Cool. Should we bounce then to very limited new game releases?
Of course.
Like extremely limited again. It's like 2 games.
My goodness. Let me just pull open this tab.
Is it even 2 games? Yeah, it's 2 games.
2 little games.
Okay, apologies. We are looking at games out from August 12th up until August, is it 18th? My goodness, time.
This year.
Yeah, August 18th. And both games are out pretty much at the end of the week. Here we've got Book of Hours coming to PC on August 17th. And then I think this is one of those asymmetrical multiplayer games, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox.
Who is this? This isn't like the Dead by Daylight people. It's
almost certain
else,
it is.
Is it them?
Or the Friday the 13th devs or something?
I think it might be the Friday the 13th devs. Okay, so it's a a little horror game. But I think you're right. It's an asymmetrical, probably one person hunting.
Like one of you is Chainsaw Man and 4 of you are not Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man, a completely different anime.
Right, you're right. I actually have no idea what the bad guy's called in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Isn't it?
Oh, right, Leatherface.
It's Leatherface, right. Yeah. Okay. It's like, what?
Yeah, Chainsaw Man sounds better, but
Wow, so many releases.
That's all the games out this week. The week after is where August pops off somewhat. So yeah, we'll check back in then.
We'll see.
Cool. Armored Core. And look, we are like 3 weeks away from Starfield, which is nuts. So
that is insane.
Yeah.
Starfield September 6th. I do love that on VG 24/7 they've got like cool. They've got June, July, August, and then they've just got a summer tab where things fall apart. So I'm like, where's the September tab? Like there are games coming out in September.
Yeah, I think there's so much that still doesn't have released. Isn't it Gamescom this week?
No, I think it's next week. It's the 22nd of August, I think. Look, I've been very confused as well because I've seen local peeps.
Oh, you're right.
Cologne.
August 22nd. Yeah.
Like, I think, isn't Sam, aka Tech, I think she's in Cologne, but I'm like, it must be maybe there's esports happening leading up to Gamescom.
No, Bianca's there.
Yeah, Bianca's also there. So I'm like, oh, this games, and I was like, no, Gamescom is still a few weeks away, so there must be
22nd, yeah.
Esports.
Oh my goodness! I just I came onto the Gamescom for Business website, which has a link for Opening Night Live. Jeff Keighley's thing.
Oh, yeah?
And for some reason, there's just like a disclosure on like how expensive the ads are.
Oh no.
So pricing for your spot at Gamescom Opening Night Live 2013. Let's see if you can guess. How much do you think a 30-second ad costs?
In euros?
In euros.
Or dollars?
Yeah. Euros.
100,000 euros.
Not far off.
Oh my God.
85,000 euros.
Monet.
Let's jump up to the highest, because that's the lowest. The highest one, 120 seconds, so 4 times more. How much do you think?
That'll be 250,000. 200,000.
Sure. Also close. 210,000 euros.
Man.
So just a casual almost 5 million rand for a 2-minute ad with Jeff Keighley's face attached to it.
It's not badly priced if you think how many gamers will be watching, and I don't know. But
hold on. Okay, so this cost is on top of certain requirements, which include you need to either have a booth space in the entertainment area, or you need to book an entire event arena, or you need to have on-site sponsorship with the community activation. So this is a cost on top of you spending probably much more.
A lot more money, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Hectic. Who knew?
Yeah. But they say here in 2022, it was viewed more than 13 million times. So
exactly, getting your money.
Break that down on a euro per, or the price per view.
Cost per view, yeah.
Cost per pair of eyeballs.
And you're getting your money's worth.
I would say goodness. So, yeah. Should we jump to news?
Let's do some news. What do you want to headline with?
PlayStation 5.
The PS5 Slim is apparently coming.
There's now a video of what looks like a PlayStation 5 console out in the wild, and it is the PlayStation 5 Slim, which has been heavily rumored for months now, not yet announced, apparently coming out in September, who knows. So the PlayStation 5 Slim was also part of court documents in the Microsoft and FTC hearing, suggesting that it would cost $400 and release later this year. The reduced price is because it apparently won't have a disk drive, that instead a detachable disk drive will be sold separately. So this video shows it without the disk drive attached and then with the disk drive attached, which is interesting. Although it kind of looks almost integrated, which is kind of strange.
Is it this video I'm playing? Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the detachable disk drive, apparently. Maybe it's like a panel that you slide off and then slide on, because you can see these like black lines on the top there that looks like, so.
Oh, true.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not announced yet. Sony hasn't said anything, but it's been reported that it will launch in September. The smaller PS5 also support 2 USB-C ports on the front as opposed to 1. So yeah, we'll see. Apparently, the disc drive will cost like $100, so that just brings it in line with the same price as the disc PS5. So the actual SKUs aren't changing; they're just giving you options, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the discless drive, the discless PS5 is already way cheaper anyway. So,
but now I guess if you buy that and then down the line you're like, shit, I actually need a disk drive, you have the ability.
Yeah, true.
I always thought the disk drive was going to be like a USB-C plugged in accessory.
I also
that
thought
could
so.
maybe work with the digital edition, not this thing that like fucking slides onto the side of the console. So that's like just different to what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, if it's coming out next month, we'll see, I guess, what it actually looks like.
We'll see. I'm sure this is something that will be announced at Gamescom. Almost certain.
Yeah, I also think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because, excuse me, I moved and I sold my PS5, and it's like, do I wait for a Slim, which may or may not happen? I'm like, nah. I got to play Final Fantasy 16. So,
and it doesn't even look that much like Slim.
It looks,
to be entirely honest.
It's not at all. If that's what the final design looks like, I'm like, I'm sure it's lighter and it probably is slimmer, but man, it's not at all. It's not like a drastic shift from. Yeah, it's not like a PS3 to the PS3 Slim. That is like like they've really.
Yeah, no, that was a drastic change.
Yeah, this is like, it kind of looks like they shrunk it by 15%.
It looks like a bit shorter and a bit slimmer, but like not drastically. Yeah, it still looks chunky.
Yeah.
Okay. Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say.
This was a weird one for this. So a lot of people were super excited by a potential Red Dead Redemption remaster. This is the first game, one that a lot of people, like myself, think is much better than the sequel.
Sure.
Yeah, listen, shots fired, yeah. There was like a logo that appeared on Rockstar's website that seemed to indicate that they were about to announce something. It looked like, cool, we're gonna the like prevalent theory that was floating around online, which now like thinking back is so stupid. People were like, oh, they're remaking the first game in the engine of the second game. I was like, okay, that seems like a lot of work, but okay.
That's a lot of work, yeah.
So that did not happen. Instead, what Rockstar did was basically say, hey, that PS3 version of Red Dead Redemption, it's now on PS4. Also, the game is coming to Switch. And that's
nice.
It. And initially, it's like, okay, well, why is it only coming to PlayStation? And firstly, why is it only coming to PS4 and not Xbox? Well, because turns out Xbox has that version already via backwards compatibility. It's had it for months. And that should tell you all you need to know about the level of work done to this remaster. It is not a remaster. It's not even being called a remaster. It is literally a port of the old game to consoles that didn't have it. And in many ways, actually worse than the one that's on Xbox, because on Xbox, at least, you get the benefit of FPS boost, so you can play it at a higher frame rate. Yeah. This one on PS4 is 30 frames per second, and on PS5 will be 30 frames per second. And
on Switch, 30 frames per second.
It also costs $50.
Wow, I mean, of course. What are you expecting?
It costs $50. It includes the Undead Nightmare DLC, but it does not have any of the multiplayer because obviously they're not going to support that. So it's like, huh. Okay.
Listen, I I am the target audience here. Okay, I've missed Red Dead Redemption 1. I have no desire to play it on a PlayStation, but if you give it to me on a Switch, I'd be keen to play it, but not at $50. I'll wait for that to go on sale.
That's an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, it's a lot for an old game. An old game.
Unsurprisingly, Take-Two CEO, what's his name? They omit his first name. Yeah, is it Todd Zelnick or Zach Zelnick?
Strauss
Zelnick. That's the one. Strauss Zelnick. Obviously, he's brushing off complaints. A lot of people, when this was revealed, were like, "Fuck that! This is terrible." And he says, speaking about the price, that's just what we believe is the commercially accurate price for it. He added that the inclusion of the zombie-themed DLC is a great standalone game in its own right when it was originally released, so we feel like it's a great bundle for the first time and certainly a great value for consumers. Consumers tend to disagree. Anyway. Also, surprisingly, there's no PC release for this, which is kind of frustrating because this has never come to PC. So, yeah.
Well, I've just seen in the Eurogame article here that the Xbox One and Series X version you can purchase for £30.
Yeah.
Also cheaper.
Because it's a game that's been out for ages.
Hilarious.
It's the same game. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
Turns out we forgot about this in our release date thing because it is out on 17th of August, which is this week. So
hilarious. Well,
yeah,
it's
if you want to spend £1,000 for a 13-year-old game with 0 enhancements to it,
nice.
Enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah. This is Take-Two literally just saying we can do whatever the fuck we want, and you'll enjoy it. Anyway, that's a bit of a bummer for that whole saga because I really was looking forward to a better version to play, but that seems to never be happening. If it wasn't going to happen now, they're not going to do it. They're definitely not going to do it. So, yeah.
Well,
what do you
I suppose
jump to next?
Let's just jump to an actual remaster. Quake 2 is getting the remaster treatment. I think this was announced at QuakeCon this week. And it really is just Quake 2 with better textures, and it just looks, I don't know if you've watched the trailer, it looks real good. I think, is this on Game Pass? It should be. Maybe, I don't know if it's come off or not.
It does say it's available.
Yeah. So if you played Quake 2 back in the day, like I did, you can now look forward to playing it again with better looking visuals. So I'm not putting the screen full because the laptop will die.
It's also a free update if you've owned Quake 2 on Steam, GOG, or Microsoft. That's cool because I own Quake, so that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So it's got, what has it got here? 4K Ultra HD resolution, split screen co-op, local, online co-op, multiplayer.
Because it's also on consoles, which is really cool.
Very cool. Okay.
There's a whole lot of DLC as well that I've never played before.
Let's see. It's got The Reckoning and Ground Zero mission packs, which add a combined total of 33 campaign levels and 21 deathmatch maps. You also get a free copy of Quake 64 and a brand new Quake 2 expansion developed by Machine Games. Call of the Machine, which adds another 28 campaign levels, a deathmatch level, and a new story, pitting players against a machine that threatens the very fabric of reality. Shit. This is a lot for $9. This is a Take-Two.
Look at this.
Look at this.
Have a look.
Look at this. $10 for an old game. Yes, much older than Red Dead Redemption 2, but look at all the shit that's been added to it.
They even added a whole new campaign to it.
My God.
Yeah. But just to your point that you mentioned to me before we started recording, you can still also play Quake 2 with RTX on. There is a ray traced version. So take your pick. There are lots of different ways to play this gem of an FPS.
Yeah, that Quake 2 RTX thing looks crazy good. But as The Verge notes here, it's only available on PC and on, if you have, it is path trace, so it is quite heavy on the GPU.
Yeah. I think I did download and tried, but I think it was quite heavy on my PC because I love Quake. I'm pretty sure I tried it.
Yeah, all these path traced like sort of like remasters, similar to the Portal one that came out earlier this year, they are hectic on your GPU. So yeah, you can turn things down, but then you lose a lot of what makes it look so incredible. But I think Quake is a really cool one, as opposed to like Portal looks good, yes, but Quake looks incredible because it's like this insanely good lighting in a game with like such rudimentary textures still. And it just the contrast is kind of interesting and fun. So yeah, I would still give that a go if you can.
Nice. What do you want to bounce to?
Should we just race through this THQ stuff real quick? So
where? Oh, yes, there you go.
THQ Nordic had their own little showcase yesterday, and announced a bunch of games. So just very, very quickly, got a new South Park game called South Park Snow Day. Nice. It's like a 3D game, so it's got like that art style in 3D, which I think looks really weird. But it is a co-op adventure where you can play as Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. There's no release date, but it's coming to PC and new consoles and Switch sometime next year.
Nice.
There's a Gothic 1 remake. So remaking the action RPG Gothic, which, you know, if you played it in 2001, was sort of like that era where everyone was trying to recreate Diablo. I never played Gothic, but yeah. So I don't know if you... Yeah. Okay. Well, that's coming next year. I think next year.
Oh my God.
Outcast, A New Beginning. It's another rejuvenation of an old title. I've never heard of this game.
I thought it was Outlast for a second. I was like, oh my God, another one?
It's apparently a 1999 open world sci-fi action adventure. And this is just what is it? Is this a sequel? Yeah, it's a sequel. Okay, cool.
Nice. Cool.
Then we got Space for Sale. It's a hands-on management sim in which players attempt to flex their galactic property magnet muscles.
Whatever that means.
Roaming procedurally generated planets in an attempt to find the perfect spot to satisfy your alien clients' real estate demands. That sounds kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Tempest Rising. If you're a fan of Command & Conquer and other similarly styled real-time strategy games of the 90s, Tempest Rising has already caught your eye, according to Eurogamer. It's coming from the developer of Splitgate. From developer Splitgate Ironworks. Sorry, not Slipgate. Yeah. Cool. You can get involved in the Tempest Rising playtest on Steam today, which runs until 20th of August.
28th, yeah. Okay.
Titan Quest 2.
Oh, who knew?
Did you play the first Titan Quest?
Mm-mm.
It's like a Diablo thing as well. Sort of, okay. Yeah. It's not bad. I know, if I'm not mistaken, Noelle is a big fan of Titan Quest.
Oh, yes. Noelle, yes. I remember talking about it.
So it's an action RPG. Action RPG in the mythological ancient Greece. So that's a cool little, difference to Diablo. So yeah, no release date, but it's heading to PC at some point in the future.
Nice.
Trine 5, this series just keeps going. Jesus Christ. I mean, this puzzle game series just keeps pumping out sequels year after year. Yeah. Returns later this year for a 5th installment, featuring new skills for its returning trio of heroes, new elements to explore during puzzle solving, tactical and engaging combat, and a new upgrade system. It's out on August 31st. Wow. Okay, it's out like 2 weeks from now. Got another look at the sort of remake of Alone in the Dark. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This isn't looking as captivating to me as I thought it would. But hey, It's got the dude from Stranger Things.
Oh, who knew? David Harbour. He looks different here. I'm not used to seeing him without facial hair, really.
His eyes look dead.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I'm curious to see how that game is when it launches.
Yeah, I think they're trying to, capitalize on the same sort of goodwill that a Resident Evil remake did, but I don't think this is going to hit them the same way. But it's out on October 25th.
Nice.
Last Train Home is an epic survival strategy game inspired by real historical events. It sees players guiding a squad of Czechoslovak soldiers back home.
Nice.
Cool. Ways of the Hunter. I assume this is just a hunting game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, awesome. God. Game of striking open world vistas and shooting wild majestic animals. Yeah, no, sorry. Nice. Get fucked.
I'm here for this pun.
Oh, God. I thought it said Rec Nation for a second, and now I see Recreation, but with a W.
Nice. It's I
hate it. Hate it. It's made by Threefield Studios, the ex-Criterion people who made Dangerous Golf and Dangerous Driving.
Oh, okay. Now you have my attention.
Open world racer that was revealed last year, apparently. So still no release date. It was originally due to launch this year, but now it might not. Who knows?
Boo.
And then the sort of big game for the thing. We knew this was coming. I think earlier this year we spoke about this being announced. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin got a teaser trailer. This is an adaptation of a popular comic book where there is just one of the 4 Ninja Turtles still alive. You don't really know which one it is. And he is kind of like seeking like retribution for the family he's lost. No release date. This game is years away because it literally just started dev this year. So yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah. Cool.
Looks cool.
It does look very cool. Okay, last bits of news. Do you like Baldur's Gate? I mean, I think you and I would both like Baldur's Gate. We're not playing it, but there are people playing it. A lot of people. I think separate to this piece of news, but I think the concurrent Steam player count it hit 800,000 at some stage, which is just insane for a CRPG. People out there loving Baldur's Gate 3, but somehow 368 players finished it in its opening weekend.
That's
which is insane because I'm like, how? This game is huge. So I don't know. I think it must be people who played the early access, just knew the game inside out, and must have sped through. I've no idea.
I love this stat. There was a combined 88 years spent in character creation, with almost 10% of players spending at least an hour. That is crazy.
Holy hell. Miklas is one of those people.
Miklas spent 4 hours in character creation.
Hold on, there's more stats. So they put out a tweet last weekend. You played 1,225 years of Baldur's Gate 3.
Jesus.
That's a lot of time. Oh, okay. So sorry, I should read these articles actually before I just do them as news. So this is just opening up. So they put out a tweet with a whole lot of stats, which is where that 368 player number came from. Oh, I thought it was. Is this not an image? It is an image. Please hold. The laptop is doing its number. I'm trying to read here. Over 93% of players rolled a custom character. That seems weird.
Oh, so they didn't go with like a preset. So that's pretty cool. Okay. What else have we got here? There's like a whole breakdown of class choices and race choices and origin character selections.
Turns out Paladin's the most popular class. What? Okay. That is just interesting. Sorry, the laptop's dying. I'm desperate to read through this, but it's just like,
One NPC was shoved into a chasm for every concurrent player we had during our peak on Sunday, 815,000.
Oh my God.
Of all player deaths, 12% were caused by friendly fire. Jesus.
Nice. I take my hats off to devs who put trackers like this in place, because I think you can get such interesting stats.
Players have spoken to 1.4 million corpses and over 2.4 million animals.
The Scratch has been petted over 750,000 times. That seems very low.
Cementing his reputation as the goodest boy in all the realms.
Sounds to me like
good.
some people didn't pet him though. Like, come on.
I think all you can gather from this is like Baldur's Gate, popular.
Very
Quite popular.
Super popular, doing its thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Very quickly, the Lollipop Chainsaw remake.
I know.
Which hasn't, I don't think, formally even been announced, but it's been delayed. It has been announced because the developer announced the delay. So it's been delayed from 2023 to summer 2024. Developer Dragami Games announced a delay alongside a new name for the project, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, which is weird.
Love it.
Yeah.
Never change, Eurogamer.
That's cool. I enjoyed the game. It was like guilty pleasure fun, also quite trashy, but good.
I never played it. I'd like to play it. But you see the Eurogamer little strapline, yes. Lollipop Chainsaw Remake delayed to 2024. Sucks. We'll stop.
Oh my God.
Get
out of here.
Give Tom Phillips a raise. Give this man a raise for these excellent puns. Okay, then last piece of news. Street Fighter 6's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costumes are so expensive, players are DIYing their own. If you're watching the video feed. Even if you're not, pull the car over.
Stylish choices here.
Go find the video on YouTube and just hard cut to what are we on, like an hour or something here, and just look at this beautiful DIY screenshot. It is.
It's amazing. The tie across the eyes is just the killer for me. So good.
Forget the tie. Look at the abs over. My God. This is but yeah, I think the DLC is $15, £15
character
per character. Hang on.
So you can spend the cost of the game getting all four.
My God. Or you can just DIY your own.
It's just crazy that it's $60 for everything.
You versus the guy she told you not to worry about. Perfect. Look, I think it's cool that the crossovers like this happen. And they cost, look, I think it's not even just a Street Fighter problem. I think games in general charge a lot. I mean, how much does the Snoop Dogg skin cost in Call of Duty? I imagine it's also a lot of money. But it's just funny that Street Fighter lets you custom make your own character so you can give Capcom the middle finger. But like, that's a bit too much for, yeah.
And it's also like you can only dress up as them in the Battle Hub, correct? And then in
I think so, yeah.
Mode?
In story mode, probably, yeah.
Because you can't fight as them; they're not fighting characters.
No. There is a mode. I think it's Jeff's gonna shoot me. I think it's called like Avatar Battle, something where you can use your hub character, but that's like that's not the traditional Street Fighter experience. That's just like for the memes kind of thing.
You can't like use that online or anything like that.
No, I think you can fight other people, but with the skin, using your own moveset. So I'm pretty sure I think. But yeah, you can't use like a Leonardo skin if you're doing an actual fight as a Ken, for example.
Okay.
So it's still very limited. But yeah, interesting. But I think on that note, that is news for this week. Which
that means
brings us to
questions. If you want to send us a question, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on our social media channels at Checkpoint Chat. What's on the dock for today?
We have Sweet Nothing on the dock.
Well, thank you. If you want to send questions,
Checkpoint Chat, cool.
Listen, after all of the ones we got last week, I'm not surprised.
Everyone's taking a break again for 2 months.
We understand. You're recouping your energy. It's tough.
Love to see it.
But I guess then that brings us to the end of Checkpoint Chat episode 229. Bit of a short one again, but hey, that's your fault. You didn't send questions. That's not our fault.
We could have hit the 1 hour and a half easily, but
you could have sent us some saucy questions, but chose not to. Yeah. We hope you have a delightful week ahead. And as always, we'll be back next week with More Zelda and Final Fantasy talk, maybe. Who knows?
Potentially.
Or maybe one of us would have played Red Dead Redemption. Who knows?
I know. My goodness. Yeah.
Have a great week. You all look lovely. You're great. Thank you for
Love you.
supporting all of that stuff.
Bye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.